We're on.
We made it.
We did.
Welcome, everybody.
Podcast number 19.
19.
Yeah, please subscribe to the channel. We have loads of people talking to us. Watch them. They're brilliant. Just like Gemma.
Oh.
I'm a bit worried that I'm going to talk nonsense or forget names, so excuse me if I do. I've had hardly any sleep for about the last 3.5 years, but mainly the last week.
It
could be bad.
You're not the first one who's going to forget names and stuff.
Okay, that's good.
Exactly. Thanks for coming on.
Oh, thanks for asking me. I'm really blown away to be asked. Thanks.
Everyone, if you don't know Gemma, where have you been? She's awesome. She happens to be one of my bestest friends. We studied at ACM together. And, you know, she's done loads and loads of amazing things in her career up to date. And one of the things is, well, you toured with quite a few bands and you were editor of Drummer.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, I want to just go back to the beginning, really, because even though we're friends, if I had to say, like, oh, who's Gemma's favourite drummer, I wouldn't know. So I would like to know how you got into it.
How do you call her your best friend if you don't know her favorite drummer?
Well, this is a testing moment.
It is. Okay, I had to think about this because this is actually my worst nightmare of a question. Same as like if someone says, oh, what's your favourite album or what's your favourite song or something, it's impossible. And I also, through Drummer, met so many or came into contact with so many amazing drummers who were also like iconic names and stuff, and people who I've really looked up to since I was a young drummer. So I felt like my favourite drummer kind of changed every week because I would do an interview with someone and then I'd go, oh god, yeah, I love them. They're my favourite. Okay, so but if I have to pick one, it's impossible. But I'm going to go for someone.
Take us back in time. And when you started getting into drums, for example, like I don't even know how that came about. Did you just go, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to play drum? Like, how did that even enter your world? You must have been exposed to something, or, you know, I'd really like to know.
Yeah, I think definitely when I was 3, I had a friend who wanted to play the violin, and for some reason I insisted that I also had lessons, and my mum was like, you sure? Violin, 3-year-old, maybe not great, but she let me have lessons, and I did enjoy the violin. But when I got to be 10, I remember my mum handing me a list of lessons, a list of instruments I could learn at school. And I looked down the list and I remember thinking, drums? There's no other girl in the school who plays drums. I think I'm going to do that. And I said to her, and she was like, yeah, go for it. Sure, then we'll start drum lessons. And I just instantly clicked with it. Like I really, as soon as I heard a rhythm, I was like, oh yeah, I know that I listened to a lot of pop music and rock, but I was really, really into pop when I was little. And yeah, I just really got excited by it and found that I was good at it. And I wasn't really a very confident child, and I was quite quiet, and it sort of helped me in lots of ways to get confidence and do all those little things at school, like concerts and stuff. And yeah, so if I had to pick a favorite drummer, then one of my, like the people who influenced me a lot early on were like Chad Smith and Mark Richardson from Skunk and Nancy, which as then when I went to ACM with you, Kira, and we those two guys came along to do a drum clinic, and it just totally blew my mind that they were in the same room together playing, and that I was just like 15 feet away from them. And then through Drummer, I then actually got to know Mark quite well, and I know his wife Erica, and yeah, it's so weird how this kind of dream when you're little can actually become your reality. And that's what I've had that happen with lots of things, but that's like one of my favorite things with people as well, because they're equally as lovely as they are as drummers, as cool as they are as drummers.
Cool.
Very cool.
But there's, I think there's quite a leap between, you know, being 10 and saying, drums, there's no other girl playing the drums, and then it becoming your profession. What made you want to be a professional drummer?
I started off when I was first studying, but I just really wanted to teach drums. I had a really good drum teacher in my hometown, and I had several actually, but I just thought, oh, that's a really nice way of earning a living. And I went to a school where it was lots of pressure on people to become like doctors and lawyers and stuff. And I remember that it was quite also a bit against the grain there, that I said, oh, I want to be a drum teacher and I want to go and do music at uni. And then, what? But you could be a lawyer. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. And then, yeah, going on to ACM and studying there, and I still wanted to teach, but then when I finished the course, I somehow fell into auditions and then got some gigs, and then I thought, oh, actually, that's even more fun to like combine playing and teaching. And then, and then I haven't really done anything without drums ever since. So I don't know where my life would be if my mum hadn't said, yeah, you can start lessons at 10. I can't imagine my life without drums.
So it's her fault then?
Yes, completely. But I think I thank her a lot for that now, because I think there's still, you know, we still have been having these conversations about female drummers, and it's a lot better now. But back then it was kind of unheard of, really. And one of her friends even said to her, "Oh, don't let Gemma play the drums. That's not for girls." And my mum was like, "But she wants to, so she's my child. I'm going to let her do what she wants to." And yeah, I'm just glad she did.
Yeah, I have, unfortunately, I have a lot of female students that are late 20s, early 30s that one day when they arrived home and said, I want to learn the drums, the parents were like, no, that's not for girls.
Yeah.
I
met someone the other day.
Yeah, if you want to play the piano, fine, but not drums.
Now?
Yeah.
And now that they're kind of independent.
Yeah. And she said, this woman who I met here the other day said that she started playing in her mid-20s because she'd always been told, oh, like, no, as a child, don't learn. That's not for girls. So, yeah, I guess that was the thing in the 90s. Lots of parents weren't letting their kids, their girls.
Well, I think it happened until the 90s, because before that, it probably was even worse.
Yeah.
You know, I think.
Hopefully it's sad, but probably lots of drummers out there, or lots of would-be drummers, you know, loads of people who would have wanted to learn as children, but I hope they take it up as adults.
Exactly.
So I want to ask about bands, and what's if you could have to pick out some good shows that you've done, I'd like to hear about that. Like, what makes a really good gig for you? Is it like, is it the venue, or, you know, I know you've played some pretty cool gigs anyway, so I think you should share. And then I want to talk about like mentality and performing, if that's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so I have had some cool gigs. It sounds a bit, I don't want that to sound braggy, because some of them sound really cool, but they were miming. It was that I had to play to match the track, the backing track or whatever, but a lot of like if I go, I played Wembley Stadium twice, which is true, but they were mime gigs, so it's, you know. I think at one time there were lots of session things, and at one time I was really someone who fitted a profile for what TV producers wanted. So if they wanted an early 20s female drummer with long brown hair and an undercut, then I was their girl. So there were things where I got to play on TV shows like X Factor and I think what else I've done now is completely gone. See, I knew this would happen. Things like, yeah, the Paul O'Grady show, stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun doing these TV things where it's really performance and like also movement, because I'm quite into dance and choreography, and so I found that combination is really something that really excited me, and like making drumming look exciting on camera. So that was cool. Touring, I played a lot with a girl band called Robots in Disguise, and I got to tour a lot of places in Europe, and we went to Japan. So I really got to see the world with them, and it was that gig that really helped me the most, I think, with confidence, because that was something that I definitely suffered with when I was studying and like shortly afterwards. And when I got that gig, it was playing to a click, and it was I kind of had to be in charge, like as MD a bit, and I was in charge of all the backing tracks, and yeah, where I had to have this kind of leadership, it made me just get on with it. So that was definitely a really like a breakthrough in helping me with confidence and performing. I think that's, I don't know, I wonder if that's something that lots of drummers suffer from as an issue, but maybe we have to kind of mask it a bit. I'm not sure. Lots of people seem to say that they at some point suffer with performing anxiety. And
I
is that the same with you guys?
I definitely do. All the time. Yeah, definitely like a little battle. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm on top of the world, I can do anything. And then the next I'm like, oh no, couldn't possibly play in 4/4, you know. What about you, Felipe?
About what? If I have anxiety playing? Sorry, no. That's why I'm not successful. It's like I feel so I feel so at home on stage. It's like I could do that every day for hours and hours and hours and hours.
Maybe
So,
it's a female thing. I wonder if we maybe we
no, it's
overanalyze.
not. It's not. I had a teacher at MI that he gave up performing live because he had to actually be dragged on stage.
Oh no.
Yeah, well, he didn't as much gave up performing live or as people stopped calling him for gigs. But I remember he was, when I had lessons with him, he was a lot better, but he said that he really struggled, really struggled. So
Something that definitely helped as well were Dom Famularo has written a few books, which you probably spoke about with him when you did your session with him. But yeah, I remember reading his, I think it's The Cycle of Self-Empowerment.
yeah.
And that really changed things for me as well. And I just found him generally as a speaker, someone who is so enthusiastic that I thought, yeah, no, it's enough that I've been chosen for this gig or whatever, that I'm already good enough. I don't need to worry. I should just enjoy it.
Yeah, what I see sometimes is people never pass the audition mentality. You know, they do. Obviously, when you are at the audition, it's a little bit tense because you need to prove to these people that you are good enough for what they were looking for. But the moment they say you're the drummer, you're done, right? But I see a lot of people that after they do the audition and they already got the gig, they're still nervous. Am I good enough? Am I good? And sometimes I tell these people saying, yes, you are. That's why you got the gig. So now enjoy and play.
Yeah. And I think once you relax and enjoy something, then you're naturally really good and people enjoy watching you anyway. So yeah, it's that cycle, isn't it? You just have to be
it's like that saying, if you think you can, you're right. If you think you cannot, you're right as well.
For sure.
You know.
Can we talk a little bit about Drummer magazine?
Yeah, sure. What do you want to know?
Yeah.
Everything.
Everything.
All the dirt.
Ease it in. Well, you know, the first thing that comes into my mind is you must have had
Why?
no. You must have had a lot of drummers like get in touch with you and be like, "Oh, put me in your magazine." And I just wanted to hear a bit about that side of things, and also, you know, with that in mind, what are your tips for like young drummers? What was it like, and what would be your advice to young drummers coming up? Like what not to do, maybe.
Okay, so what I did hear from lots of people. I mean, I heard from lots of amazing people, and I was really struck by how helpful people were. People who I reached out to, and I thought, oh, they'll never reply to me, and they just gave their time and like really happily, and gave great interviews. And there's not a lot of budget involved in publishing a magazine, and so I mean, like a surprisingly small amount that an issue is made out of. So I had to be in control of the budget and really make the most of each issue. And a lot of people really just often would do stuff at hardly any cost. And yeah, so that was something that was amazing. I did have people who would kind of hassle a little bit, and I just had to learn to be quite polite but blunt. So a couple of times it didn't go, oh God, blunt, sorry, didn't go down too well, but and I don't find it easy to do that, but actually it was quite good for me to say, no, sorry, you're not what I'm looking for. And I did consciously kind of change the people that were represented in the magazine. I don't mean that disrespectfully to any previous editors, but it's been something that's really an issue for me to represent men and women equally, and obviously also people from different backgrounds and different races. And I did want to kind of change this front cover middle-aged white guy drummer thing. So yeah, so that was something that I did upset a couple of people, I think, because I said, I'm sorry, you're maybe not what I'm looking for as a cover artist, which didn't always go down too well. Can't really mention any names, sorry.
I can imagine.
For drummers who, like young drummers, as advice, I think, I mean, it's changing as well. So now rhythm is back with Louise King, who I'd just like to say, she was also one of my biggest idols, because when I was growing up and reading rhythm, she was editor, and I just found it so cool that it was a woman who was in charge of this magazine. And so yeah, she was also a huge inspiration to me when I was working at Drummer. For young drummers now, then it's important, like profile is so important, and obviously you have to back it up with strong playing and being a nice person and positive to be around, but those things do really help you, you know. And I kind of I hope that there are lots of people who I got into the tuition section of Drummer, and they've kind of gone on to do other things, and I hope that it's partly due to Drummer. I don't know whether it is, but I know that there are people who mention like the tuition stuff on their CVs and stuff, and I think that if you can get something like that, even though you might not be well paid for it, it does show what you can do, and it does put you in front of an audience. So yeah, go for it, but just don't be pushy or rude in asking, because then you also get known as the pushy, rude one. I would sometimes get emails and be like, it's that one again. I have to politely answer to that later.
How long did you do the job for a drummer?
It was 3 years. Yeah, just under 3 years. Okay. Sadly, it was bought by a rival publisher and closed. Yeah. But yeah, I found that really sad because it was also a great magazine. I mean, it had been running for a long time. Lots of really cool people had edited it, and then yeah, it was just a sad day for the UK to not have that drum magazine anymore.
Would you start a new one?
Would I? I had toyed with the idea of like offering to buy it in some way or to carry it on, but I think it's just too much. It's just too much. I wouldn't. I think also the money involved. I think there's still probably not necessarily the need for it, but I think people, you know, do enjoy reading drum magazines, but in whatever form, it's maybe not the best way to do it, the best platform. It maybe doesn't need to be an actual magazine anymore, some different form. So yeah, it's a bit too much for me. I'm fine like working with a team, and there was a really strong team behind doing design and everything, but I think personally I couldn't do so much around it.
Cool.
I wanted to know where you're working now, what you're doing now.
I am now working for the coolest company. I love them. They're called Gemma, and so I'm now living in Germany. I moved to Germany in, when was that? 6 years ago, and yeah, so I was working on drummer from here, from my little desk in my tiny flat, and then I lost the job because, like I said, the magazine got closed. And then I had a baby, and then she was 6 months old, and I thought, this is not good. I've been like, yeah, just under a year without a job, and I need to find something. And things always work out. I have this strong belief that, like, it's called cosmic ordering, which is going off on a slightly different track, but look it up. I do that a lot. It's basically just wishing for what you want, and it often, the more you practice it, the stronger it can get. I know that sounds insane, but I wanted the perfect job for me. I flew back to the UK for 1 week, and in that week I got offered the job of first of all, that happened with drummer, but I flew back and got offered that as a job. And then the next time that I needed a job, I also did the same thing. And then, yeah, this company got in touch with me, and they needed a translator from German to English, just about marketing drums, which is like the most niche job you can get. So yeah, I've been doing that for, I think that's now 3 years. And I do that from home, again, fits into my day because I now have 2 children. And it's not just about drums, it's also string instruments, keyboards, and they distribute instruments all over Europe, and they deal with brands like DW and Paiste and LP and PDP. So it's still, yeah, I'm heavily focused on drums. They're just not necessarily playing them.
Are you playing now or not at all?
Not really, not a lot. I find it really, yeah, time consuming with the kids and stuff. Like fitting time in for practicing and playing is tricky. And just at the moment, touring is a no-go. Well, obviously, at the moment, that's the same for everyone. But I hope that as things kind of get back to normal, if they do, then in a few years I'll be able to pick that up again. But who knows? I also feel like I'm really content with everything I've done, and so whatever comes next is also exciting. So I'm fine.
Cool.
Love that. Seem quite just content and happy wherever the wind kind of blows you, kind of thing. Love that.
Yeah, I just feel like everything always lands how it's meant to. So yeah, I don't feel worried about anything, and I'm really happy with the job that I have. So yeah, it would be nice to play on big stages to loads of people again, but that's not where my life is right now. So that's
And
fine.
it's gonna take a long time for that to happen anyway. So
Yeah, I know. It's a worry, isn't it? Especially if that's, you know, if you don't have anything other than touring, then that's, well, at the moment it's scary. Definitely.
This is the only time where every musician in the world is doing exactly the same thing. Everybody's stuck at home.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's great for practice, but yeah.
Yeah, I know Kira has been practicing a lot.
Yeah. And creating music.
She's been putting a lot of videos on her social media
I
practicing.
love Kira's videos. They always
And
make
doing-
me feel really
doing
positive.
very complicated stuff that I'll never attempt in my life.
Oh, I just make it up. It's not real.
Life is too short for that.
No, I actually haven't been practicing as much as I want, but yeah, no. You do what you can, isn't it? So we've got about 7 minutes. So we should probably wrap up with our question about drum education. So the question is, what do you think is missing from drum education today?
Okay. I think it's hard to know because I haven't really been exactly like in on education right now somewhere that, you know, I haven't been into any of these facilities and seen what they're doing or what's on a curriculum anywhere. But I think there are lots of online courses, which is great that people can do that. But I think what often gets missed is that you really need to just play with other musicians. Like other drummers is really cool, but you really have to, as a drummer, you need to know stuff about other people in your band, their instruments as well, especially if you want to tour. Like if you can have knowledge of just how backline works and stuff like that, then you become invaluable to that band. And I don't know if that's really covered. I mean, we studied quite a long time ago. Maybe I shouldn't say how long ago, but
Don't worry, I studied even longer than that. Probably you weren't even born yet, so that's okay.
5 years ago.
weren't even born yet. I think that's something I would have liked a bit more of in our kind of our degree education, because I learned a lot of that while out on the road. Just knowing how to help guitarists and bass players and know a bit more about amps and stuff like that, and maybe a bit of stuff about
guitarists are beyond help.
Well, yeah, but it definitely makes them feel better when you can kind of back them up a bit. So yeah, I don't know really. I guess it depends what kind of, were you meaning online education, or were you meaning like just
any kind of education? Doesn't need to be a formal like school like you and Kier went, but you know, even what do you think anybody who's teaching privately should be doing that they're probably not doing?
I think something that's just really super important is for people or for teachers to make sure that their students feel confident. That's something that is really uppermost in my mind with students, like both male and female. And because I think that's the key to success really. If you feel confident, then you can take on harder things and you can play basic things way better. So but I mean, in terms of other stuff, there's so much content that you can, if you don't find something somewhere, then you can find something else that fits more what you're looking for, because of the variety of people that you can learn from online and everything. So yeah.
And one question that probably, you know, valuable for nowadays is the kind of school you and Kira went. What was the greatest thing about the school, like beyond the curriculum or anything like that? Why should I go to school like that to become a professional drummer?
I just got goosebumps because you meet people who will be friends for life. I was just thinking of Kim. But really, you meet people who you form amazing bonds with, and also that's your first contact with the industry, which you can't get that anywhere else. You can't get that if you study from home. You have to go and meet people, you have to network, and you have to experience things together on stage as well. That's just the fastest way of forming a bond, I find. And that's something that it sets you up with that skill as well, that you can go into any situation and you can fall into it and like form a friendship or a bond or whatever you want to call it. I think that's definitely the thing that I took away from ACM.
Cool.
Lovely. Thank you, Gemma. I think
That's
that's
all right.
with our 3 minutes remaining. Thank you for your time, and that zipped by, didn't it? So we'll put your, if you don't mind, like your info down the bottom if anyone wants to like message you and say
Okay.
but yeah, maybe we'll do a catch up when you're back playing or whatever.
Yeah, thank you again for asking me. That was really,
Thank
not
you for
used to
accepting.
talking from the other side.
She's used to asking the question, not answering them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so now everyone, we're going to do a separate Zoom and we're going to get all the gossip.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
I'll tell you when the record button is off, but
Let's stop now.